Perhaps an alliance is called for after all.
Holy shit. That was awesome!
Well, that trailer definitely got me more excited. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to another very interesting Ultimate Alliance 3 and slight Avengers project related video. So with Game Informer's whole month of coverage almost up relating to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, we did get a really cool new trailer of the game in action, primarily relating to the X-Men. And within this trailer, we do get some really awesome shots of some new villains that are going to be featured within this game, of the likes of Magneto, Mystique, Juggernaut, as well as really interesting take of Dormammu. Plus, we also get the return of a classic playable character within the Ultimate Alliance franchise, specifically within the last game of Psylocke. So alongside of Psylocke being another confirmed X-Men to add to the overall roster of characters within Ultimate Alliance 3, we also have the likes of Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm, Scarlet Witch, and more. And of course, we can't forget the one and only Merc with a mouth himself of Deadpool, which we do get a really cool close-up shot of him within the end of this trailer. Now overall, given the gameplay footage that we did receive in this trailer of the X-Men fighting off Magneto, Mystique, and Juggernaut as the main three boss fights of this particular level, it does actually more fun and entertaining compared to that of the Venom and Electro boss fight. And as I've stated previously, even though Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 doesn't look like it's doing anything to change up the standard formula of this type of game, I still think it will at least be a very enjoyable experience nonetheless. Given all the crazy high-octane action that is occurring on screen, as well as all the numerous superhero teams that you can create within this game, I do think that there will be a lot of attributes for players to enjoy. And for this section of the game in particular, where the X-Men are fighting at the X-Mansion and then get intercepted by the Black Order themselves, even though we do know that the second chapter of the game takes place at the Raft, I can suspect this taking place either at the third or fourth chapter of the game's story. This is primarily because I do believe that Thanos and the Black Order themselves will be the final bosses of this game in its entirety, and we also see Dormammu as a boss fight himself, so I do think he will occur later on in the game's story. So after starting off the game with the Guardians of the Galaxy and space, and then moving on to the Avengers in the Raft, I do think it would make sense to then transition into the X-Men at the X-Mansion in the third chapter. This would easily transition into more characters being introduced within the story, as well as Wolverine to regroup with the other X-Men at the mansion to check into how they're doing. And speaking of characters, there are talks given the beginning of the trailer with the portrait that we do see of the other X-Men that weren't necessarily featured in this trailer, like that of Cyclops and Colossus. And even though we do see Wolverine saving Beast at one point during the trailer, it doesn't necessarily confirm their playability within the game overall. And the same thing goes for the main bosses within this level, particularly relating to Magneto himself, since he was playable in the previous games. And if it somehow turns out that we don't get to play as Magneto, Charles Xavier, Cyclops, Colossus, or Beast, I can possibly see them being included in the game as a form of DLC. And while I know people may be a bit upset about that, they have done DLC for the previous Ultimate Alliance games in the past, so I can see them easily doing that with a few X-Men in one singular pack. And given that we do know that the game's base roster will include a total of over 30 characters, I can see them adding a few different groups of Marvel heroes or possibly villains as DLC down the line. This doesn't just relate to the X-Men specifically, but it could also regard other characters like that of the Inhumans, Defenders, other Avengers, and much more. And with the game scheduled to release in less than 2 months, and with E3 right around the corner, I can definitely see us receiving another trailer of this game pretty darn soon, and definitely getting our hands on it, especially in July. And speaking of E3, more intriguing happenings are occurring within the Square Enix Twitter page, which hopefully relates to the one and only Avengers project. So in the last video, there was a quick update from one of the Marvel Games employees of Eric Monticelli, who is the director of production over at that company, and did post a really interesting picture on Instagram of him visiting the Eidos Montreal studio. And knowing that we were guaranteed to actually get some info update relating to the Avengers project sometime last year in 2018, and with that promise not being fulfilled, it would definitely make sense for them to bring this game back during this year's E3. But what's even more interesting is that Square Enix has apparently been teasing to us this whole time that we will be receiving some form of the Avengers project at their E3 conference on June 10th right in front of our face. And what I mean by this is that if you look at these particular pictures that Square posted on their Twitter page of them showcasing showcasing the time and date of their E3 conference, you can look at some really interesting things on the left and right side of the particular picture. Primarily to the left and right of these portraits, we do get some very exciting colors for hardcore Marvel fans relating to purple, orange, as well as green and blue. And if you're obviously familiar with the most recently released Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and if you're just a huge fan of the comics, this definitely relates to 4 out of the 6 Infinity Stones. And to narrow it down, it mainly relates to the Soul Stone, Power Stone, Time Stone, and the Space Stone. So not only could this be a tease that we could receive more of the Avengers project at E3, but it could also hint to the possible villain of the game is going to be, which is none other than Thanos. Now, I actually made a whole video about this particular subject, discussing who the main villain or villains could be relating to the Avengers project. And for me personally, I actually would be a bit disappointed if it did turn out to be Thanos and the Black Order as the main antagonists of this game, because we are already getting them within Ultimate Alliance 3, and we already saw them quite frequently within Infinity War and Endgame. However, Thanos and the Black Order are as big as it gets relating to Avengers villains, and seeing how popular they are, it would make sense if they were to be featured somehow within this game. So even though I personally do not want it to be Thanos who is the main villain of the Avengers project, there is a small chance that it could be. But again, even though we don't know for sure whether or not the Avengers project will be attending E3 2019, we'll just have to wait until June 10th to see if we do end up getting some answers. And until next time, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your current thoughts on Ultimate Alliance 3 given the newest trailer, and are you excited to possibly get some new info about the Avengers project at this year's E3? For me, I think Ultimate Alliance 3 will be a fun game to enjoy, but I might personally wait until it's available for a discounted price after it's been out for a while to go and pick it up for myself. As for the Avengers, there is a slight chance that we could or could not see more of this game at E3, but I really hope that we do, because a lot of people, including myself, are slowly losing hype relating to this game. So fingers crossed that both of these Marvel titles do turn out to be some pretty good experiences. And until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, stay merry Marvelites, and peace out.